Then came the big disappointment, right? So that same month, I got one of the biggest disappointments at the time. Okay, hi guys, welcome back to the channel. For persons who don't know, I am Shanice and welcome to ShaniceTheV.I.B.E. Today I'm actually going to do my first sit down video to kind of explain how I became a permanent resident for Canada. I know a lot of you guys have been waiting for me to, put out that kind of content, and so here is the first of a few of these series or so forth. So I'm going to just jump right into the video to give you guys an idea. If you see me looking down, it's because I'm using some cards with some prompt questions because I don't really want to stray off board and the video be too lengthy and you guys not get what you actually came here for. So on that note, let's jump into the video. Okay, so I decided to migrate to Canada because like many persons back from my home country, Jamaica, I was struggling. Like even after I had completed my degree, I was still struggling to meet some basic needs or to even accomplish bigger goals. Like I was trying so hard to elevate myself as at the time a single mom, but I was not getting anywhere. I felt like I was running a losing race. And then I was like, I was so depressed. I was going through so much. And then that is when, like, one day I was there and I was like, I don't get it. What am I doing? Because I have a sibling who lives in Ontario, and she migrated back in 2017, and she would always ask me and my other sister, do you guys want to come? And my other sister was always up to coming, but I would always be the one to say, no, I love Jamaica. No, I'm not leaving Jamaica. I will visit, but that's it. But then at that time, I don't know, I was just going through something, and something hit me that I was struggling. I was running a losing race, and I had a child that was depending on me to give him a quality of life that even up until that particular time, I was not able to give to him. And I said to myself, what do you love about Jamaica so much? Because at the time, I'm like, really? You keep saying that, but what is there to love, other than the beauty and whatever, And then that's when I'm like, I don't have nothing really tying me to Jamaica like that. I am a born loner. I didn't have a bunch of friends. At the time, I was not in a committed relationship as yet. And I was like, what am I really doing, And and that's when I decided that, you know what? I'm going to do this. Because I need a better future for myself and for my son. So at that very moment, I was standing up where I was living, and I was just looking out in space, thinking all these things, of course. And then I just took my phone up, called my sister, and I said, I changed my mind. I want to migrate to Canada. I want to come to Canada to live. And my sister was shocked. She's like, you sure? And I said, yes, I want to do it because what am I really holding on to here? And that is when I made that decision. And that's when the journey started to come to Canada. That's when everything started. And that was in it's either the end of 2017 or 2018 that I decided that I was going to take this leap of faith. So when the journey officially started now, that was for 2018. that's when I created, or that's when the first express entry profile was created. And I'm going to insert a little clip to show you guys that's December 2018, my first express entry profile was created, starting officially my journey to migrate to Canada. And when you see the clip, you would have seen that I've had quite a few of those profiles. So that's when it started officially. And you see, everything takes time because we're in the year 2022 and I'm just here. So So at the time in December when the profile was created, I'd also just sat my first IELTS exam, which is the English examination that you need to complete, one of the English examinations that you would need to complete as a part of your like requirement then for express entry. So I did that at the UE Mona campus, and I was then now waiting. At the time, we were trying to get my express entry score to go up after putting in like my qualifications and my years of experience. We were trying to get it up because at that time things had started to become a little bit more competitive. And so I did the test, and when I did the test, we were trying to get like an 8 in listening and then everything being 7. But unfortunately, while I was able to get the other requirement listening, I got a 7, and it's very important for me to have gotten an 8. I would expound on that probably in another video, the whole IELTS thing, but this is just giving you a rundown of my journey. So after getting back that, and I didn't get what I wanted, and then there were not a lot of availabilities for you to do the test in Jamaica at the time. So after that, I quickly decided that I wanted to apply for the Canadian visitor's visa. I had already done this back in 2017, just a side note, me and Johnny, and we were rejected. And I was like, okay, whatever, because it was just, you know, something to try. It wasn't, at the time I didn't want to migrate to Canada, but I'm like, okay, since I don't have a lot of availability here for the test, and there's so much availability back there, and I wanted to like see the country for myself, know that I had made that decision to migrate. So of course I applied for the visitor's visa, came with the intention to do the test, get the score that I wanted, bring up my express entry score, and then I would just proceed with the whole process there and then complete it there and then. But things was not going according to plan because it had become even more competitive. The score was going way up, and no test result could save me again, right? So I had gotten so frustrated. I was beating myself up at the time, and it was really getting to me, and I just had to take a step back. And I'm like, oh no, like I had to take a step back, and I'm like, what am I doing, you know? And then I started to say, you know what, I'm going to let things play out by itself. Okay, so in taking a step back, that's when I started to explore other options. And this came about one day when I was talking to someone that I had met there in Canada. It was just a random conversation, and the person at the time, they were waiting on their PR to come through. And they said to me, like randomly walking, and they said to me, when they get their PR, they might move to another province, right? And I said, oh, and I said, because I was in Ontario at the time, that's where my sister was at the time. That was my destination of choice. And so when she said that to me, I'm like, oh, really? And she said, yes, there are a lot of other places that you can go, and the cost of living there is so much better because for example, she mentioned like Nova Scotia, she mentioned I had known Alberta at the time, but then she mentioned Saskatchewan, and I'm like, Saskatchewan who? Because that was the very first time I was hearing the name Saskatchewan. And then she said yes, and I said, okay, I've never heard of that before. And she said yes, and she was telling me how it's very cold, but the cost of living is good there. And then that's when I went and I started to look into other province. And I realized that because of it being cold, a lot of persons were not really going there, and so your chances would be better. So that's when I remember going home and saying to my sister, hey, um do you know that, for your express entry you can have multiple province connected to it? That was new to me at the time. And then my sister said yes, she knew. And I said, oh. And then that's when I said to her, I want to add other provinces to my express entry profile as a means of exploring other options. And so when I did that, we decided to add Saskatchewan as one of those provinces. That's when we realized that Saskatchewan had a nomination program. And so basically, they have a program where they're encouraging persons to come to live in the province. So you can apply for the nomination. A nomination is basically the province aiding you to come. So through express entry, based on all of what you presented, they will give you extra points added to your existing express entry points. That's just one category of the Saskatchewan nomination program, by the way. I'm not going to get into detail in this particular video, but I will expound in other videos. So at the time, I learned of this, and I created a profile of interest. When me and my sister created a profile of interest at the time. When we did this, you had to get 60 out of 100 points. So based on your qualification, based on the years of experience, based on your degree being evaluated, and all of those little details, they would calculate it and tell you how much out of 100 you would have gotten. You needed to get 60 out of 100, and I only had 56 out of 100. However, there was another section that says if you had a family member in Saskatchewan, that would have given you 20 extra points, and that would have been good. At the time, of course, I'm saying, oh, that's that, because I never had a family member there. So I was just back to just adding other provinces to my profile and just hoping for the best. That was really where I was at the time, when I realized that wasn't working out for me. And I just said, you know what? I'm just going to allow life to do its course and allow God to do his thing, because I am allowing myself to get too worked up about this. It was getting to me to a mental level, and it just was so unhealthy. Okay, so I got my first breakthrough with my Canadian journey in 2019 when I came back home. So after all of that, I came back home to Jamaica. And you go foreign, so you bought some stuff for close family members. So I bought something back for one of my other siblings, one of my other sisters on my father's side. And so she came to collect that. And in collecting that, we were there having a conversation. So she said to me, how is the Canada thing going? And I said, I don't even want to talk about it, because at that time I was saying, you know what, I don't even want to have that conversation about it. Not many people knew about the journey, only my close family. And she, at the time, she knew about it, right? So I said to her, I don't even want to talk about it. And then she said, oh, what's happening? And I said, this is where I'm at now. And then I mentioned, I was exploring other options the other day. And I was talking to her about the Saskatchewan thing. And then I vaguely said, if I had a family member there, it would work out. But because I don't have a family member there, then I'm just here, just waiting. And then she said to me, Saskatchewan? And I said, yes. And she said, I believe you have a cousin there. And I'm like, I have a cousin there? I'm like, you sure? And she said, yes. Because my father was not in my life, right? So I don't know a lot of his side of the family, right? So when she said that to me, it was new to me. She said, yes, you have a family. I'm sure you have a cousin there. And I said, oh. And I said, really? And I said, so you have like contact with him? And she said, yes. And I said, what's his name? She told me his name. And I said, I'm almost sure that person follows me on Facebook and Instagram. I said, quickly went on and realized that, yes. I said, you know, I never knew he was my family because he has a different last name, right? Because his mom would have, the relation is through his mom, and you know, his dad would have had a different last name anyways. So I never made the connection. And she said, yes, you do have a family member there. So I quickly now went on my phone, started to research, you know, if like a cousin could work. And they said yes. But then they said it had to be a first cousin. So I said, girl, that won't work out because they said it have to be a first cousin. So that won't work out. Then she said to me, no, it's your first cousin. And I said, my first cousin? She said, yes, it's your father, sister, son. I'm like, no, 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 no. You're joking. Because at the time, I'm like, this cannot be real. And I'm like, yo, this must be God because what are the odds? And I'm like, do you think that, you know, he would be up for that? Because people are funny with those things. And I know that they ask for lots of information. So she's like, okay, I'm going to reach out to him and let him know that I'm going to pass on his number. I'm like, okay. And I'm like, oh my God. I'm like, you know what, Shanice, don't even get too excited just yet because, you know, up until this time, it has been like an up and down thing. And I'm like, I want to be excited, but I don't want to get too excited because I don't know, you know, what's going to happen, you know. But for me, that was still like the first little, you know, size of a breakthrough in this journey to Canada. So things started to look up. Things started looking up. So she made the connection with my cousin. I got his contact. I reached out to him, and you know, like we're there talking. I'm like, you know, you follow. And I was telling him how he's following me for so long, and I never knew that we're a family. And we're just talking as if we knew each other a long time. And I'm like, yo, you sound so cool, and like stuff like that. And I was even saying, yo, you sound like the female version of me, and you know, we're joking about it. And then I was saying to him, I don't know, she had mentioned to him, and I'm saying, yo, I was exploring this option for Canada, and then we realized that, you know, we need a family member, and you were there. And I was saying to him, I don't know if you'd be up to doing that, but I would really appreciate it. I know and I was explaining to him that, yo, it's nothing monetary, it's nothing like that. I have all my money already. It's just to get like the documentation to like prove the relation and that he's been living in the province and stuff like that, you know, because they know how sometimes when persons are abroad and Jamaica reach out to them, automatically they're thinking, yo, I mean, I have no money for that, you know, like it's a money thing. So I just wanted him to know that, yo, it's not even gonna be a money thing. It's just those stuff. And then like he was like, yeah, man, he was all up for it, and he was saying that's the least, your family. And he was saying to me like he's always up and want to help like other family member to come, so he's good with that. I'm like, yo, me I say, yo, I was thanking him. I say, yo, I must God, this must be God because so, you know, so like it was just looking up for me, and I'm like, mm-mm. So when he decided to do that, you know, we quickly went back into the Saskatchewan nomination express entry, Saskatchewan nomination profile of interest, and we updated that section that I have a family member there, so automatically I got 20 points. So I never saw girl never have 56 points anymore. I now had 76 points, so things was looking more positive. So I did it. I'm like, yeah, okay, let me just wait. So we did that, and in exactly 1 week, in exactly 1 week of doing that, September 25th, it was a Wednesday if I'm not mistaken, a Wednesday, September 25th, 2019, I got that email an invitation by the Saskatchewan nominee program to apply for the nomination. And I was like, yo, I was so excited. I was so excited when I called my family and I was telling them. I started to tear up. Like I started to talk and I just started to cry. I'm like, it's like it was so unreal. Because when I say, like, just the other day, I was like, just, caving. I know I have a whole invitation to apply for this nomination. So, it was time to just gather everything together so that I can submit. So I started doing that, gather everything together, and to submit my application. So I did that, got everything, got all the paperwork together, because I started to like reach out to schools for the list of all of the documentations that I needed. I started to gather so that I could submit that application. That application then. And so I submitted the application in November. Yeah. So I submitted the application. So I got the invitation in September and I gathered everything and submitted the application November. I don't remember the dates in November, but I submitted in November. Is it November or October? I don't remember. It's either the end part of October or November that I submitted the application. So after submitting, no, it was my first waiting period, because in this journey I've had quite a few waiting period, if I'm being honest, right? It's my first waiting period. I submitted, no, nothing. I wasn't hearing anything first. Then I got like they asked me for additional documents and I tried to submit those. Some of the things they asked me for are already submitted, but maybe it wasn't clear, so we tried to make that a little bit clearer. Also, they wanted, like, I think there was something with they have to prove that you are really family. And so one of the documentation that I used wasn't really proving the relation. So I went back, because they gave you a list of things that you could use, and I went back to the job and I submitted as much as I could. Then they asked me for like three times they asked me for additional documents. 3 times. I'm like, what is this? And I'm there waiting now. Now it is a new year. Like, no, so now it's a new year. It's 2020. And I'm like, right? And I'm like, what is happening, right? So I remember like emailing them and asking for an update. This was like April, like early April, asking them for an update, and they're giving a little vague thing. Oh, they'll reach out to you, whatever. I'm like, oh my God. I'm like, so I'm like, I'm been waiting, because they say it would take like 6 months, and it can take anywhere from a few weeks to 6 months. So when I think April would have been like that 5th month mark. I'm like, no man, I need to be hearing something. But then at that time, that the pandemic now was just becoming a serious thing, and things was everything was taking longer. I'm like, I was just frustrated. I was just so anxious about everything, to be honest. And that's why I reached out to them, and I was just in the waiting game. So after reaching out to them, then came the big disappointment, right? So that same month, I got one of the biggest disappointments at the time. That's how it really felt to me, like so I got like a notification to check my thing. I'm like, so I'm there now, I'm checking, and then I see that I was rejected. So after all of that waiting and everything, I was rejected. They rejected me, and they gave me 2 reasons why I was rejected. So when they asked me for those additional documents, 3 times that they asked me, I think they asked me for additional document maybe 4 times. either 4 or 3 times, but I know that 3 times they asked me for an updated bank statement. And this is so important. When you apply for your Saskatchewan nominee program, you have to maintain the required money 3 months before you are invited to apply for that nomination. You cannot miss. They don't play. So at the time, there is like some money was moved out of the account, or something had happened. It was probably a little bit before that mark, and it wasn't major, so we weren't really even thinking that it would impact anything, because at the end of the day, the right money was there. As a matter of fact, more than the money required was there at the time. So we're saying, okay. And they ask, so they kept asking each time, like, we present like a new statement. And then I remember one time I had to present another, because I had to, the account that the money was in, those type of account was being closed. So I had to move the money again, but I was proving all of that. So, but the issue was before the invitation, right? So they rejected me because the money required was not maintained in the account for that 3-month period before I got the invitation. But remember that things happened very quickly for me, because I was there waiting for express entry and nothing was really hitting. So me find out that I have a cousin, and everything happened so quickly. So of course at that time I wouldn't have known about money, I would have been watching money and all of that, right? But and then they were also rejecting me because they said that I need to have the early childhood teaching license before I'm nominated. And that was crazy to me, because even though they asked me for additional documents so many times, they never mentioned that I needed that. But those were the 2 reasons they gave me for being rejected. And man, that hit so hard. I felt that to my core when I was rejected. So after that big hit, I got over it quickly. I got over it so quickly. My husband was like, yo, I'm proud of you. So I'm like there beating myself up, and I'm like, I don't know, like out of nowhere, I'm like, girl, get up. And I just pick myself up, like mentally. I'm like, you are not starting from the beginning this time. You are starting, like, how this goes now. You are a pro. You're not starting from scratch. You're not starting from the beginning. Like, why would you give up now, right? When you know the whole process now, right? And so I'm like, nah. So I just picked myself up right away. And I kid you not, the next day, I was trying to create a new Saskatchewan nominee program, profile of interest, right? It wasn't going through, and I realized that I needed to call them so that they could reset my passport number so I could do a new profile. So I was on the phone calling them saying, hey, I got rejected yesterday and I want to reapply today, so this is where I'm at. Could you just, reset that for me? Just like that. And the guy said, no problem. That was reset. Profile was up again. No playing. And then I started to research how to apply for the license. So I downloaded the form, asked my husband to print it and bring it home for me. I realized that I also would need like a transcript from my college. So I went, everywhere was closed now, so I couldn't go to the college. I went online, applied for it, went by the bank this time. If it's crazy at the bank, right? Because the lines were long, you can't go in. So I did all of that to pay for the transcript. And then, so I had a profile back up like the next day. And then I applied for, because I had to apply also for like the West report to be sent to them and all of that. I never ended up submitting the application for the license until the first week of November, because I got rejected April 27th. So I never submitted for the license until probably like the first week of May. But within a few days, my profile was back up. I was updating my documents, waiting. I had applied for the license now, and I'm like, and at this time, I didn't have to worry about the money because the money been sitting in there. I wasn't even touching it because I was waiting on them to reply to me. So, I'm never going to make that mistake again. So I just picked myself up and I was just like, okay, let's go. We're doing it. Listen to me. I did that and I was there just waiting. And that was May, June, July. I was not getting an invitation. As a matter of fact, they were not even picking my knock because schools were closed. So they're not thinking to get teachers in the province. That's the truth, right? So they weren't picking my knock. The Ministry of Education had not reached back out to me. So it was now June, July, and I remember like in either July or August, I reached out to the Ministry of Education. I'm like, I applied for the license. What's up? Because I know that I won't get nominated without the license. So I need to be on both of them. So nothing was hitting for me. And then it was September and depression was killing me. And I'm like, no, what is this? And I'm always going through that emotion where I pull myself back. And I did that. I'm like, you are doing it again. You are doing it again where you are getting consumed. And it's all the time when I just let go, live in the moment and allow God to do thing. That's when things look up for me. And I remember just I was listening to this this spiritual talk, and the person used a scenario and they said, when the Bible says, throw your burdens on Jehovah God, this is what it means. And he's like, if you're at a river, that stream, that current is running, and you pick a stone up and you throw it in the river, would you be going into that river to look for that same exact stone that you threw in there? Would you? No. And he's saying that's how you should view it. When you throw your burdens on him, don't go picking it up back. Don't go looking for it. Know that, okay, it's gone. That's no longer in your control. And I don't know, but I felt like I needed to hear that at the time because that whooped me right back in my right mind. And I said, you know what? That's my motto for the rest of this thing. Whatever it happens, it happens. I'm not doing this to myself anymore. I'm going to just leave it. I'm going to live in the moment. And I was just there going about my life, planning things regularly because I put everything on pause. I was now engaged for almost a whole year. I was pushing off my wedding. I was just putting all my life on hold. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to just stop. Plan my wedding, live my life, do my shit. That's where I was at the time. So after doing that now, and I was now in that state of mind, boom, I was at work and I got an email, and the email was from the Ministry of Education. So I'm like, okay, what's this now? That was the license. I remember it was October 5th. I remember the date because I remember getting the email and I was so excited that I got the license, and I called my husband and I was like, babe, I got the license. And he was joking because funny enough, it was like his birthday. So it's like, yeah, it says my birthday, give you some luck. I mean, It was whatever. We don't do birthday either, but he was joking about it, right? And I was like, whatever, man. But I was so excited. I'm like, at least something is looking up. So I'm like, all right, now that I got the license, right? So I was like there now, and I let my sister know. I'm like, let's see if the license can give us some more points, right? And I'm like, went in to the profile and realized that okay, it didn't do nothing. But then I started a new job, which would have given me an extra year of work experience. I was like, I was saying to my sister, you think we should like add this new job to it? It probably won't do much, but let's see, right? The same time we decided to add that extra year to it, and it brought my points up by 2. So I had 76 points. No, I had 78 points. So I'm like, I was like, really? 2 points? What is this? Brand, I was just saying like that. We were joking about it and laughing about it. But I kid you not. Let me tell you something. Sometimes the littlest of things that you think doesn't matter, it matters. Because let me tell you, that 2 points was a major factor in all of this. Anyways, I was there now, and it was now November. I remember it was November 17th, 2020. I got an email. It was a Thursday. I was on the phone talking to my sister, and the email came in randomly like that. And I was like, oh, it's Saskatchewan. Because they would send you other things. I'm like, why is Saskatchewan? You know, I wasn't even thinking, because remember, I was now in a state where I was not consumed with it, right? So when I open it now, I'm like, what's that, Jesus? I saw my sister say, I got invitation. I got invitation. I was so shocked, but I never cried or anything. It was just like, I don't know. I was more like, I wasn't expecting it. So it was like, and I'm like, yo, I got back an invitation. Remember, they had not picked my knock in months. I was not even, right? So I quickly went on and I looked at the draw. Let me tell you, they picked my knock for the first time in months. 1. 2, the cutoff score was 78. So that 2 points that I was behaving like that about, that is what made me got the invitation. And I'm telling you, I was like, okay. So I was just I quickly got on it, because remember, I had everything together. I was already getting everything updated. It was just for me to like get like the bank statement, new bank statement, everything. At this time, I put even more money on it, because I was waiting so long. I was now thinking to add everybody to the application. At this time, by the way, only my son and I was on the application. So I was saying, you know, since I'm waiting so long, might as well I just add my husband to it. So I put like, so more money was in the account now to show for 3 persons. But because they invited me before that 3 months mark, I could not put him on it at that time, because the same thing would have happened. Anyways, so I submitted everything, and I was like just there waiting. So I submitted everything November 30th, 2020. And I was there waiting. I'm like, okay. And then now December 22nd came. I'm like, okay, it's a next year thing, because most places in Canada, when you reach that last part of December, things slow down, because everybody's off, all of that. So when I saw December 22nd, December 25th, I'm like, okay, next year thing. But I never knew that I was about to get the best gift for 2020. And I was just there I just randomly doing something on December 30th, 2020. That's when I got the best gift of the year. I got nominated by the province. 30 days, 1 month, no additional document, no nothing. This time I never came to play. I came prepared. I gave them everything and some. I had everything that they needed. Trust me. They wasted no time. 30 days. I applied November 30th, December 30th. That was me getting my nomination. And on to the next lap I was. And then that was so good. I felt so good just knowing that all of this was actually paying off. And then I know that, okay, even though this was all sweet, I had another journey. I had another lap to go. And so I'm going to tell you guys about that now. My journey to becoming a permanent resident in part 2. Get you in part 2.